Uh, First item of interest tonight would be to call the meeting to order. The February 13th, 2024 Planning and Zoning meeting will now be in session. Item number two, and a very pressing item, is the election of a chairperson and a vice chairperson. At this time, we need to elect a chairperson, vice chairperson, and the chair is open for nomination. Well, I'm going to nominate James Arledge. He by far has the most experience of any of us. Deals with the code problems, not necessarily daily, but he's a general contractor. He understands the issues that most of these guys are faced with, and he understands from the city's position. So I'm going to nominate James as chairman.
I'll second that.
Can we get a vote? And now a vice chair, so we need a nomination there.
I'm still pretty new to the committee, and I know you all are new to the committee. Ronnie's probably been here the second longest, so I will nominate Ronnie Nairmore.
All right, we have a vice chair and we have a motion, so let's take a vote. All right, item number 3. Consider the approval of the minutes for the December 12, 2023 Planning and Zoning Commission meetings and take any action necessary. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we need a vote. We are all in agreement tonight, aren't we? Good. That, I promise you, won't last long.
No, this is easy.
Item number 4, Z2024-01. Hold a public hearing and consider a request from Alfredo Shanez Perez and Maria Magdalena Ramirez Balderas for the approval of a zoning change from SF2, which is Single Family Residential District, to NS, Neighborhood Services District, being a 0.339 acre tract of land situated in the Henry W. Jones Survey, abstract number 306, Titus County, Texas, conveyed in a deed known as instrument number 20211-436 of the public records of Titus County, Texas, city of Mount Pleasant, Texas, and is addressed as 801 South Flory Street and 902 Tab Street, and take any action necessary. At this point, I think we hear from David.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and or Vice Chair, I guess I should say now, and members of the commission. This particular property is located on the corner of Tab Street and South Flory, and when we take a look at the aerial, what you're going to see here are two structures. This is the main house on Tab Street, which faces Tab Street, and this is the structure that's in question here. And what we're looking at is this property has been used as a commercial use for some time. Taking a look at some Google Maps, the last known commercial entity that was here was Joe's ATV repair shop. And looking at our records and going back to the water records, I mean, it goes back to 2001 that it's been here as a commercial property. And this was it in 2008. I don't have these images in your packet. However, when we take a look at the current property, this is the current, how it currently sits. The applicants have come in when they bought the property in 2021. They came in and they did some renovation to the property with the understanding that this was a commercial property. However, the zoning map on this you're going to see is a single family district. And so that's the purpose of us being here this evening, is to take a look and see if this in fact can be a neighborhood services district for this particular property. And so what's neighborhood services? Neighborhood services really are for small type of businesses that provide goods and services, and how the code reads is other related uses as well. And so when we take a look at this, got to take a look at the future land use map, and what does the future land use map call out for this particular area. And the future land use map designates this as compact residential. What that means is you have a variety of housing types. It allows for other small lot residential, as well as other small amounts of neighborhood serving retail. So it's a little broad, but it allows that in there. And so when you take a look at what the applicant is proposing to do, their request is compatible with the recommendations of the future land use plan. Now, when we take a look at the applicant's property, let me go back up to the area. What they're looking at, what they're considering, is a small retail facility right in here. This is kind of how they laid the floor plan out. It's going to be clothing, handbags, belts, accessories, things like that. So it's a small area. I measured the aerial on this, and it's about 900 square feet. I'm not sure if that's all, if they're using that. They're not using this portion of the property, only this portion up here that's at the front. And so that brings up the idea of parking for the site as well. So if this is approved, then they'll need to include parking, and they'll need to bring the building up, make sure that it meets code. And so when they apply for a certificate of occupancy, then fire go out, building inspections will go out, and they'll take a look, make sure that the property meets the code requirements here. And so, so if this is approved, they'll have to put in parking. Obviously, you can see, you know, the parking lot was never placed on this property, even with its use as it was in the past. And so if depends on how the floor lays out here, they have the room in order to put in parking and the required space in order for maneuverability. They have that on here. Just depends on how many spaces they're going to use, and they would have to go through our building inspections, a permit to see if they meet that through site plan. We did mail out 22 notices to all property owners within 200 feet, as required by law. We did post this in the newspaper as well, and as of today, we've only received one notice back that was opposed to the applicant's request out of that. This requires a simple majority vote from the Planning and Zoning Commission, and a recommendation from this board will move over to the City Council. City Council will ultimately make the decision on this. With this, the applicants are here to answer any questions that you may have regarding their project or this property, and I'm available for questions as well.
Okay, you said you only had one return letter of opposition. Is that correct? What kind of hours would this place be is it a 8 to 5, or would it extend in the evening hours that would maybe impact the neighborhood?
And so that's one thing that you could probably ask the applicant since they're here. I'm not aware of any hours. The one thing with this being a straight zone district, we don't regulate hours on that. So it's something that's certainly a good question for the applicant to be able to answer, to find out what they're going to do on this site for that.
Well, that's my concern. If I live 2 houses down, I don't want it open at 10 o'clock at night, so that would be my first concern. The other is that even with our approval, it has to go to City Council, and it has to meet all code requirements. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I don't have anything else.
There's a house and then this structure on the property. There's two different.
Yeah, let me go back and kind of explain this a little bit. So,
Sorry, rezone all of it or just the part where that piece?
So staff took a look at this to see how best way to bring this forward. because essentially the neighborhood services portion is located right here in this building. However, if you see the property, this property line right here shows that this building that they're going to use is on the property of where the single family home is. We can't subdivide this property because to bring this it down into this lot, because if we do, then this becomes an illegal lot, so it doesn't meet. So the only way to brought this forward was to zone the entire property for the neighborhood services. Now, when we take a look at this as an existing structure, the parking would be located here. I don't know that they're going to want to put any parking back on the residential portion of this, but that's how we came to that determination. So we would have to be, both properties would be rezoned.
My initial concern is that if you rezone the entire piece of property, are we opening up a floodgate 3, 4, 5 years from now of the potential owner now selling the property? And of course, along with that goes the change in zoning, and would any future business have to be approved and or regulated that could be put in here? In other words, does neighborhood services open it up to any sort of business, or is that maybe I need a better definition of neighborhood service, or you gave us one originally, but does that open it up to whoever and whatever in the future?
No, that's actually a very good question. And so neighborhood services is probably closer down to the lower end on allowing just certain uses. There's only a handful of uses that are allowed in their neighborhood services district. When you get up to general retail, there are quite a few more, and you'll see larger developments in a general retail, and then you kick up to commercial, which opens up even a whole lot more. So would you have something that's going to be, along the lines of a highly active place here, like a drive-in restaurant? Can't do a drive-in restaurant in a neighborhood services area. So a small convenience store would be something that would be allowed. But a drive-in restaurant would not. Could you have a restaurant? Yes, you could have a restaurant, but it's regulated by size. And so there are some stipulations in there within the neighborhood services that will allow only certain uses there that would be fitting. Because once again, when you take a look at the characterization of that, it is for small type of neighborhood services. And so to answer your question, yes, that could open up where somebody wanted to develop the entire property. Say they wanted to, if this was zoned, then they would have to meet all of the requirements for what we have for current. They had to bring everything up to code. You have to meet parking, you have to meet fire lane, you have to meet a whole lot of host of other issues along with this. So those are things that staff would have to take a look at that time if something like that were to occur.
All right, so I'm taking that to mean that there are safeguards further down the road to a change in business operation or to enlarge the business operation. That's what I'm concerned about. Is I just don't want to open a gate to a never-ending expansion. Now, there are a number of small restaurants in houses, or what I call a house, in Mount Pleasant now. They don't seem to be having any issues. I don't see any. Perhaps parking is their biggest issue, So I just don't want it to get out of hand. That's where I'm headed. Okay. Okay, if there are no further questions by the committee, then I guess we can open it up and let the owners present theirs in the public hearing then, right? Okay.
Hello, thank you for letting us come here tonight and for hearing us out tonight as well. Yes, my name is Yetzari Chanes, daughter of the owners. My address is 902 Tab Street. And she is Maria Magdalena Ramirez Valderas, 1224 Choctaw Street, and in the back is Alfredo Chanes Perez, 1224 Choctaw Street. Okay, so our project is basically we started our business in our small home. We were a shoe store originally. We were doing online sales. It led to us actually building clientele. So we rented out a spot beside Raw Iron at the bazaar. So we were there for quite 2 years. And then we opened up the possibility of opening our own store. So we took the initial on that. We remodeled it. We set all our plans to it, putting all our faith in God. And recently we remodeled it and everything. We went to the city council, to the chamber and everything. Turns out that we couldn't open it. So we were like, what's going on? But here we are tonight, trying to see if we could get that approved. Originally, the house that it sits on is their property as well. We bought the house and the commercial property. So we originally thought that we could open up the store there, but something came up. So here we are tonight, and she doesn't want to say anything.
Just because I'm very nervous. But my English is a little good, okay? Yeah, so we buy it, that property to make a dream, you know? Yeah, make a dream to do our own business. So I hope everything is gonna be okay. So thank you so much.
Can you answer the question from earlier about your business hours, kind of what you're thinking there?
Yes, sir. So our business hours are going to be 10 to 6. We will have sometimes Saturdays or Sundays. We will open later and close early just because we do have other stuff to do. But Monday through Friday, we do hope to open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Do you have a game plan on your parking?
Yes, ma'am. So we already have planned to do concrete, to put the whole concrete and remodel that whole surface, just so we can give something better to our clients as well, so their cars don't get scraped there or anything like that. But we will put a safe parking on that area.
Well, I'm encouraged by your enthusiasm and your desire to start a business. That's great. Are there any restrictions about parking or type of parking? Is there anything that would involve that?
Yeah, so we do have standards for parking, and if this is approved and moved forward, then that's one thing we would take a look at from a building inspection standpoint to make sure that it does meet our requirements for parking, probably for 90-degree angle parking and for the for maneuverability as well. So we do have standards in place they would have to meet.
Okay, I've always had the feeling that, well, I don't know if it was tied to square footage of the facility, but there had to be a minimum number of parking spaces. Is that, will this work in that situation? Or is that something you explore after our decision?
Yeah, so that's something that we would probably explore afterwards, because we need to know how much square feet they're actually using. Once again, they're not using that other building where it's L-shaped. They're just using that portion that's in the front. I don't know what the square footage of that is. Once again, I just took a look at the aerial image and got about 900 square feet. It may be 800, maybe 750. I don't know what it is. But what we'll wind up doing is asking for a floor plan to determine the amount of square footage they're actually going to use and base that off of 1 per 200 square feet for that area. Right now, how it sits, it would be 4.5 parking spaces or 5 parking spaces. You have to up that to five spaces. So if they use the entire 900 square feet, it's going to require 5 parking spaces. If for whatever reason they're not able to put the 5 parking spaces, then or meet any of the parking requirements, that would have to go to the Board of Adjustment, which would be you in a different fashion to request a variance to the parking. But that'll come after we see what their plan is.
Okay, so I sense that, you know, that they're willing to try to work with the city and facilitate opening their business, which I'm encouraging. Is there any other question or any other comment? All right, we close the public open session, and I guess what we need is a vote.
I'm gonna make a nomination, rezone it from the single to neighborhood services district.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, that's passed. And all in favor? Aye. All right, unanimous. Everybody agree. All right, that's great. You're getting a new opportunity. I hope you make the best of it, and I'm sure you will. Item 5, PP 202401. Consider a request from James Arledge of A&C Investments, LLC, for the approval of a preliminary plat for the Urbans on 17th edition, being a 0.62 acre tract of land situated in the B Merchant Surveys, abstract number 358, and being described in the deed from McGuire Dyke Ventures to S. Clement Homes, as recorded in document number 20221797 of the Public Records of Titus County, Texas, City of Mount Pleasant, and generally located in the northeast corner of West 17th Street and North Johnson Avenue, and take any action necessary. So we'll hear from David now.
All right, once again, thank you, Mr. Vice Chair and members of the commission. This particular property, as you can see, is located on on 17th Street, West 17th Street and North Johnson. It's this 0.6 acre tract. You may recall this came before you last year in July as a planned development district, and this was approved by council in that same year on July 18th, 2023. And the planned development is for an 8-unit townhome development here. So the preliminary plat at this stage is just to make sure that we have adequate public services, you know, for this, for water, sewer, and so we do have water and sewer available along 17th Street, so they'll capture the facilities here. It's currently going through civil construction plans right now, and they're about wrapped up with that. And so once that's complete, this is going to come back to you probably next month for a PD site plan approval. And so that's where you get to see the actual site plan itself and see what's going on. This is the concept plan showing you, you know, how this is going to be laid out. And then I've also provided you with the concept of the elevations of what he's proposing there. This is 80% masonry, or the minimum is supposed to be 80%. I think it's 100% masonry. Actually, you've got stone, brick, and stucco for this, and changing the look up on every 2 units. You can see there to give it some movement or some interest in building. With this, staff would recommend approval of the preliminary plat with the conditions that we have outlined in staff's report. I'm available for any questions that you may have.
This is the same piece of property that we approved a couple of months ago, is that correct? For this townhome development?
In July of last year, yes.
James was pretty excited and optimistic that it would augment the hospital and the potential for some physicians who are in and out of here to create a, you know, somewhat of an apartment-like or townhome here. So I think he's encouraged, and I think it's a good use of the property. I think, did we not discuss at that point that future development included most of the lots in this area becoming more commercial? Is that correct?
So the properties that are there, most of them are general retail right now, so there's a commercial aspect to that, that's in that area, that is correct. But yeah, you're absolutely right, of what Mr. Arledge had indicated about the use of the townhomes for the hospital and what he plans. Hopefully, the doctors will purchase those and as they come in and out for whatever they need to do here.
And all we're asking for, moving forward to the next step, the preliminary plat.
Yes, the preliminary plat, and then once we're there, then we'll go to the PD site plan. That, a PD site plan comes to, generally, most site plans are reviewed by staff. The PD site plan establishes certain things that they have to meet, and so that's part of bringing it to the P&Z, is to make sure that they're meeting all those points that were approved during the ordinance. And so he'll have to make sure that he meets all that. And then after the PD site plan is complete, then we'll go into the platting, the final plat phase of that. And then he'll be able to pull permit and start construction, which I understand he wants to start as soon as possible.
All right, any further questions? I don't see any public here to comment, so I'm assuming there's no. Just open it and just close our open meeting. And okay, we need a vote from here on a recommendation to proceed.
I'll second.
And a vote? Aye. Okay, the next item is Planning Director's Report, and David will give us that.
Although there is no public here, they still have to announce for public comments.
Okay, I assumed that there was no one here. There's no use doing that, so we'll close the public comment session.
Thank you. It's just procedure. The Open Meetings Act requires that to happen, whether there's folks here or not. Planning Director's Report. First of all, obviously, tragedy struck us here a couple weeks ago, where Mr. Davis lost his life, and the only thing I want to do at this point was to thank him for his service, as well as prayers to his family. But also at the same time, I'd like to offer just a moment of silence in respect to Mr. Davis and his family. So if we just bow our heads just for a moment. Thank you so much. With that, Regina did provide some materials for you, and those materials, probably something that we should have been doing, when we had some new members. And so Regina wanted to make sure that we all have some materials on what it is that we're looking for on the P&Z board, or the commission, I should say, and has our land use chart, has our zoning, has a link to our comprehensive plan, which you should be take a look at. Everything's online, available to you and to the public. But also at the same time, if you have any questions regarding any of this information, certainly Regina and myself are available at any time to help you out with this. I think we're going to have a busy year this year. I have so far had 3 zoning cases coming before y'all next month as well, and possibly a PD site plan as well, like I indicated there. So we're going to have a busy month next month. So appreciate Regina putting all the materials together for y'all, and hopefully that helps you out and helps you understand some of the things. Other than that, I don't have anything else to share. Appreciate Sheila and Jay coming on board with us this evening, and appreciate y'all's service. and as well as for Jason and Ronnie to continue their service with us as well. The community appreciates it, and so does staff. So once again, we're available if y'all have any questions on anything. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to the Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you, David, for the report. I need a motion for adjournment, and we will close this.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second attempted, vote. I just want to take a minute to thank Jay and Sheila. You know, when I was put on the board, I thought, oh, well, now what am I into now? But believe me, we've had a couple of instances, and David can certainly tell you, it's very important. Not every case will be open and shut and just a yes vote, because there are considerations for the city of Mount Pleasant. And a lot of those start right here. And this is where they either need to be approved or questioned. And so that's going to be our responsibility. And I know that you two are concerned about Mount Pleasant and will play an active role in supporting good decisions. And that's what I hope we make every time. So thank you for accepting the challenge, because it will become one. Just wait and see. Thank you.